Hi everybody, welcome back. It's Benita Hudson coming to you with a new podcast series on goal setting. As we're winding up 2023 and we're heading into the new year, this is the time when a lot of people start contemplating the goals that they want to set for the coming year. But I think it's worthwhile to look at why we set goals in the first place. What's our motivation? Is it that we are shoulding ourselves? Well, this person I know is doing this and I should be doing it too, so I better get on board. Or maybe we've had criticism leveled at us, or maybe we're leveling it ourselves and we're saying, well, for me to esteem myself, for me to love myself, I need to accomplish this goal. So I think it's really important for us to look at why we set goals in the first place. Because if the goal that you're setting is coming from a negative place, first of all, you're not going to follow through. You might for a little bit, but if it's not feeling good for you, if it's not pretty naturally forthcoming, you're not going to stick with it. So we're going to be talking in this series about why we set goals, what keeps us from following through, how to set goals that make sense for us, for our lifestyle, for our well-being, both physically and emotionally and mentally, just looking at what's the best way to go about it in the first place. So when you think about setting goals, let's look first at our programming. What's the voice in your head? A lot of times it comes from earlier in our lives. If there's a critical voice, it's not our own. It's not how our intuition talks to us. Our natural inner voice is loving, it's supportive, it's encouraging, and it's cautionary. It'll let you know when you're overstepping, when you're setting an unreasonable goal for yourself. It's the critic in you that's going to set the goals that you're not going to be able to follow through on, at least not in any consistent way over time, and will likely just set you up for feeling bad about yourself that you didn't fulfill the goal in the first place. So consider why you're setting a goal by looking at what's the emotional content behind it. Does it feel respectful to you, to your lifestyle, to your own well-being? For example, if you've been a pretty sedentary person and you've set a goal that every morning you're going to get in the gym at 6 a.m., there's a pretty good chance that's going to last maybe about a week, because it's too extreme a change. And I'm not saying there aren't people out there who've made extreme choices and it's worked for them. But here's something I want you to think about. How much of yourself do you have to suppress to meet that goal? As a spiritual coach, ideally, I feel that our main purpose on the planet is to wake up before we die and wake up more in the next life and the next life. So waking up means bringing all of who we are on this journey. Not going, oh, that part that wants to eat cookies late at night, you don't belong here, you're gone. No, it's more about looking at why does that part do that? Why does it need that energy that way? And how can we support that part of ourselves so that it can operate in a way that's conscious and more functional? So if we're sitting there eating cookies in the evening, it should either feel like a really positive, joyful, fun experience, or it's something we need to address, because if there's any beating ourselves up afterwards, if there's any guilt involved, any grief or shame involved, then it's clearly not a positive experience for us, not at the deepest level, and that's something we need to address and work with. So as we're setting goals, we want to look at, am I listening to all of me? Am I paying attention to the emotions behind the goal setting? Does this feel gentle? Does this feel caring? Does this feel realistic? Is this something that I can wake up in the morning and go, yeah, yeah, I can do this today because it feels good to do. Not I will feel better about myself because I did it, but it will simply feel good to do. And that's a really important distinction, because if you're setting a goal with the idea that I will like myself better if I read more, or I lose weight, or I do whatever it is, frankly, it's not going to work, because as soon as you have some bad days and you don't do that thing, you're probably going to beat yourself up for it. So goals should never be predicated on the idea that you will like yourself better. Maybe you will feel physically better, maybe you will feel wiser, but it shouldn't be about liking yourself more. And that right there can be a good goal. How do I learn to appreciate myself more? How do I learn to like the person I am? How do I learn to look at the traits that I don't understand about myself or I don't like and see the purpose behind them, see why they are there? For example, if you have a part of you that pushes people away, it's trying to protect you. What's it trying to protect you from? Probably whatever was a problem for you in your life at the time the pattern was created. That part's not conscious. It doesn't know that things have changed, but you can work with that part to help it become conscious so it can make better choices and not push people away. If you don't know how to find that part, if you don't know how to work with it, that's my forte. I can help you with that. So feel free to reach out and we'll get you started on that. But that's what I'd like you to think about today. What are the goals that you want to set? And how do you feel about them? There should be a sense of peace, joy, maybe even excitement about trying something new or making something a regular part of your life. But if there's any shame involved, if there's any negativity involved, then either it's not the goal for you or you need to tweak it. You need to change it in some way. In fact, one thing that I've seen recommended, and I think it can be a really useful tool, is to place a goal, but start out small. So say, for example, you want to get up every morning at 6 a.m. and walk for maybe an hour. What if you were instead to say, 2 or 3 mornings a week, I'm going to walk for half an hour. So I'm going to stagger those days. And if there's a desire to walk longer or walk more often, at least for the first week or so, don't do it. Let the desire build. Because letting that desire build is going to forge in you an energy that wants to do that. So then the following week, maybe you extend the time or you add on another day. You gradually start to build the pleasure in doing that particular activity so that you get to the point where it's like, yeah, can't wait to get up, get out the door and have my walk. Or whatever it is you're looking to do. Also look at time of day. Be realistic about your schedule. Now, I'm one of those people that I love to get up at 5 or 6 in the morning, get in my hour and 15-minute walk, and now that's done. I've taken care of my exercise for the day, and I've done it before the phone is ringing and other things are needed of me, and there's no time to get to that. Now, that being said, if it's the weekend and I have an opportunity to spend that time with my husband, who works at 6 a.m., so when I go for my walk, he's already at work, but he's not on the weekends, I'm going to take that time with him. Because, yeah, I could get up and go walking at those times, but it's okay if I miss a few days a week because he's my priority at that time. And I might get in some other forms of exercise that weekend, like if we go dancing or we go boating or we ride the motorcycles, what have you. There's other ways that I can be active and I get to do it with him. And that's something I really treasure. So also look at your values. What do you value? And are the goals you're wanting to set fitting within your value system, or are you imposing on yourself somebody else's value that might not work for you. So make sure anything you take on, you've checked in. Does this feel right for me? Is this something that as a person I can see myself wanting to do over the long term? And that's another thing. You're looking at developing healthy habits. Don't make it a short-term thing like I'm going to lose 10 pounds and then I'm going to go back to the way I always did things. Because you know you're just going to gain it back and you're going to have to lose it again. And this can be challenging. I know for myself, I've done a number of programs where I've lost a lot of weight. And then I've come to the end of them and gone, you know, I did it and it felt good, but I'm really not enjoying my life like this. And come to the conclusion that I'd rather have a few extra pounds and actually enjoy my life than be super, super slim and just not having a good time. So sometimes it's finding a compromise, or it's finding a different way of doing things. Like a lot of times for me now, I'll eat the foods I want to eat, but I'll stop as soon as I feel satiated, not when I get to the point of being full. So I'm eating foods I enjoy, but I'm eating smaller amounts and I'm exercising. So I'm keeping myself in pretty good condition doing that, but it's in a way that I'm enjoying. You know, we can work so hard on being perfect and meeting all these goals that we forget just to live. We forget just to enjoy our lives, just to be happy with the pleasure of being alive. You know, I often say there's two kinds of people in the world, those who are truly alive and those who are just trying not to die. So you can be so intent on eating all the right foods and doing all the right exercises and doing everything right that you're not actually enjoying yourself. So, okay, maybe you're super healthy, but are you loving your life? There is a balance between doing the things that are healthy and making sure that there's a healthy balance of joy to your life, ease, so that you're being gentle with yourself. You're not coloring so inside the lines that there's never any spontaneity. You know, it's a wonderful thing if you're on a program and you're getting healthier. But if you're invited out for a meal and you go, no, I can't do that, I'm on this plan. Maybe there's a way you can adapt a little bit. Maybe you can find something on the menu that's a close enough approximation to your plan that you can enjoy that time with your friends. So gently as she goes, when you're setting goals, really think about what is going to be enjoyable and sustainable over the long term, and start with something that you can reasonably see yourself achieving. Because there's a certain tendency that occurs when we start doing something that's good for us, and we start to enjoy that. We start to enjoy feeling good, and so we're more likely then to add something on top of it. So if your diet's not the greatest, but you start walking every day, and that starts to feel good, chances are you're probably going to find yourself eating a little bit healthier because it's harder to walk after that massive bowl of pasta, and you're enjoying feeling a little bit lighter and a little more energized. So there's a natural, as you do the things that are taking you down a healthier path or a better path for you, it's not always about health, it might be about time management or something else. As you're doing those things that are lightening your load in some way, that are feeling good for you, there's a natural desire to do more things that feel good for you. So start out small, pick one thing that feels really doable, and just thinking about it is enjoyable, and then gradually add more things. And part of this is starting off by accepting yourself where you are. I love to read books on Zen. In fact, right now I'm reading this book, Everyday Zen, by Charlotte Jokobek. And I just love the whole concept of accepting life as it is, falling into the wonder of life by being present for everything, for the grief, for the pain, for the joy, for the love, for the chaos, for the order, for everything. Just, I'm showing up for this. I'm showing up for everything. The way that can really help you when you are setting a goal is to accept sometimes when I do this thing I said I would do, I might not enjoy it. But that's okay. I remember at one point I decided to do curves, and there was a schedule that I had to get myself there so many days a week and do the program. So I decided I didn't have to enjoy it. And there were times I showed up and I just loathed every minute of it, but I did it. So yes, I say look towards doing things you enjoy, but don't let that trip you up, where if you've gotten yourself into a routine and you wake up one day and you go, yeah, I really don't want to do this today. Check in. Could you be okay with doing it anyway? Even if you do it begrudgingly, could you be okay with that? Sometimes there's the enjoyment of simply the accomplishment of this thing you promised yourself, whether you actually felt like doing it. So yeah, don't beat yourself up. Don't be hard on yourself. Don't set unreasonable goals. But if you set a reasonable goal, see if you can let go of being in a certain headspace in order to do it. And just go, yeah, don't really feel like it today. Maybe I'm not going to be as perky as I normally be, and I'm not going to push myself as hard. But I'll walk through the paces just to say, I showed up today. And that's okay too. Sometimes that's a way of being gentle with ourselves, is just to say, yeah, I'm not going to fully apply myself today, but I am going to show up and do it just to say, yep, I can tick that box. So there's some ideas for you about goal setting. Contemplate them. See where it takes you. And have fun with this. You know, there's that, like I said, there's that concept about truly being alive or just trying not to die. We're all going to die. The question is, how much are we truly living? So one way to think about your goal setting is to think, is this thing that I am thinking about doing going to enhance the life I am living? Again, forget about length. Is it going to make me feel a little more alive? And sometimes feeling more alive means stepping out of your comfort zone, doing something that's new. And that's where, like I said, if you're feeling kind of begrudging about it because your ego likes to stay in the comfort zone, which means no progress, sometimes you're going to have to challenge the ego and go, yeah, I know you don't want to do this, but I'm taking you along for the ride today anyway, and we're just going to do it. So just remember that whatever you do, you want it to be about it's being something that makes you feel more alive, enhances your life. And feeling more alive means feeling everything. So bring all of you along for the journey. If it's something everybody internally has agreed on, all aspects are saying, yeah, we can do this. This is reasonable. Then those times that some part of you goes, nah, don't want to, you might just say, well, you can hold back, but we're going to go and do this. And that energy can just grudgingly come along and maybe surprise itself and find that it does enjoy doing these things. We are going to get talking in, future sessions about our core patterns of resistance. And sometimes those patterns are so resistant. They're not just, yeah, fine, we'll do this. I don't really feel like it, but fine. But they're really stopping you from doing something. And we're going to look at what that's about and how you can work with those patterns so that ultimately in your goal setting, you've checked in with yourself. Generally, everybody's on board. All those different parts of you have said, yeah, we've agreed to this. You've started out with a reasonable goal you're building toward, and you've committed to doing something that you know ultimately is going to improve how you experience your life. Slow, gentle steps. Start contemplating now what those look like for you, and we'll add more pieces of the puzzle as we go. I look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks very much, and bye for now.